Hello and welcome to another BCS video. Today is August 8th, 2022, and the Kineticist Playtest just released. So today we're going to be going over that and decoding it for the BCS. First caveat is this is a playtest version. It will change, obviously, before the final version, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, just like I didn't spend a lot of time on the Psychic and Thaumaturge playtests. Just going to get the general idea of it and see if we can get it kind of close to balanced. So to start off, let's just get right into it here. You always want to start with the proficiencies first and put those in before you go into class features. So we got trained in perception. Let's see, trained in perception at level 1. And we got saving throws. We got starting in expert and fortitude, and that means put a 0 here for level 0 for trained, because you still have to pay for trained. This the 10 point for training, but of course it starts off at expert, so expert at level 1 here, and then expert in reflex, so level 0 trained, level 1 expert, and then trained in will at level 1. Let's go ahead and do skills while we're looking at it here. So it starts off trained in nature. So let's see, nature. Just copy that. Trained in nature and 3 plus int skills. And you can see here, just as I went over in the Psychic and Thaumaturge video, you can't have a number that ends in 5 in your class total here. And so whenever they have 5, if there's an odd number because of an odd number of skills or something like that, then they have to use an odd number in the number of additional skills in order to get rid of that 5 and make it an even 10. So that's 3 skills, 15 points, and that gets rid of the 5 up there and gives it an even 10 number. So before I get too far down here, forgot to do these. So we got class type. We don't know what class type it's going to be yet, except definitely martial, because I've only skimmed through the information. I haven't really dove into it. I'm doing this pretty fresh, but it's definitely not a caster. There's no spell casting, so it is a martial. But I don't know yet if I'm going to categorize it as a martial or a martial specialist or a martial skilled. Probably not skilled, because I don't think there's any additional skills like a rogue or investigator. So key ability I know is con over here in the I got the playtest over here on the side, but it is con. And then HP, let me look at it. It was 8, I believe. Yes, start with 8 HP. So 8. And then I'm pretty sure there's no shield block, but I did see that there is level 1 class feats. Yeah, first level you get a class feat. So that is class feat level 1. Check that box, and that's 10 points because it's a level 1 feat. Times 10 would be a 10 points. It's not a caster. Alright, and then go ahead and do class DC while we're up here. And of course, everything starts in trained. And this is a class DC, which again tells us it's a martial and not a caster. This is your subclasses, essentially. But I don't think there's any numerical points value between them. They're all they give you access, but they don't actually give you any special abilities. They just give you access to other abilities. So I don't think these have a value on their own. At least I don't think so. We'll get back to that. Let's see. But let's do attacks real quick. Trained. Start off trained in attacks in simple and unarmed. And to plug those in, we go to unarmed trained, and that's level 1. And then we go to simple trained. Simple limited would be like the wizard, which is pretty much the only class that gets simple limited. And that's basically you only get a few simple weapons access. But in this case, it gets all simple weapons. So that would be simple trained at level 1. And then we'll look at defense, and we got trained in light armor, trained in unarmored defense. So unarmored trained, level 1. And then light armor is light trained at level 1. And those subclasses we looked at just now. And then we have the first action of the class. I'm going to go ahead and notate it down there in the class features just while I'm looking at it. So we go down to here we go. Sorry. Class abilities. And then the first initial, these are initial abilities. So the first abilities you get at level 1 in your class, and these numbers are just to give you room for up to 10. You know, most classes only give you like 4 or 5 specific things, but I just left room here for up to 10 in case we ever get a class that has a lot of level 1 features. So this is gather element. Here, I like to put action here so I know that's what I'm looking at. We'll come back to valuing because I have no idea at this point. Elemental impulses looks like this is mostly another action, which is your elemental blast, which is your key attack basically. So we have an action elemental blast, and then let's see. And then it's got different elemental blast types: air, earth, fire, water. These are basically just weapons. These are weapon traits, but they're basically flavored as blasts. And then this just tells you about levels. Haven't gotten into that. Like I said, I'm pretty fresh on this. I haven't looked into it very deeply because I wanted to get just an initial reaction and see how quickly we can fill in some of these numbers. Let's see. It looks like we have yet another action. That's actually quite a few actions for a class at level 1. So we have adapt element. Interesting. All right. So adapt element. All right. And now we're getting down to the levels. We're going to be jumping around a little bit here, so I hope you can keep up. So we already marked that level 1 class feat. Skill feats, that's basic. Elemental resistance at level 3. Let's see. You're protected from that element while you have an elemental gathered. You gain resistance equal to your level. Okay, so that seems like a class feature. So we're going to go down here to, this is level 3, and this is just, again, these numbers right here, these are all level 3. But this is just giving you room to put up to 4 abilities in level 3. And so far, that seems to have worked. I don't see any classes getting more than 4 abilities, 4 unique abilities in a level. And if you're building a custom class, I would recommend sticking to that. Otherwise, your class is probably too complicated if you've got 10 different things coming online at level 3. I stick to 4 or less and really try and even it out, and maybe stick to only up to 2 per level. That's just my recommendation based on what I've seen and based on what all the official other classes are doing. All right, so we have elemental resistance, and then extract element at 3rd level. This is an action. Yep, that's an action. Interesting. We don't usually see a lot of actions down here, unless it's later, like level 19, special actions. Alright. And again, we'll try and come back and value these, but I can already tell I might not be able to do it. They're kind of complicated. General feats, that's basic. Iron Will. So we got Expert Will at 3. So we'll go back up here to Saves. Expert Will at level 3. Skill increases, that's basic. Ability boost, basic. Ancestry feats, basic. Critical element. Critical hit with you gain access to the critical specialization effects for elemental blasts. So this is your critical specialization at level 5. So we'll go down to attacks, and we have weapon critical specialization is this top row, and that is coming on at level 5. And I'm going to put a specific note while I'm here for elemental blasts. Because it doesn't apply to any weapons that you have. It only applies to your elemental blasts. So I just put that note there. Later on, as you see with I've got notes in most of these as to only what it applies to. That's just for our convenience, make it easier so we have all the information we need in one spot when we're looking at these classes. Alright, so next is Adapt Terrain, 7th level. Portion of 30 feet of you. I have no idea what some of these are. Proliferate. It's obviously a class ability. So we'll just stick it in there, level 7. Level 7. Adapt Terrain. Blast Expertise, level 7. This is Expert Weapons and Unarmed Attacks. This is about the only thing that I've actually looked at beforehand, because immediately on the 2E subreddit, this came up in the announcement thread, that this is weird. This is 7th level and getting Expert in weapons. That's pretty weird, because I've already filtered the class totals here. I've already filtered it to attacks, and we're just looking at unarmed because it's just easier just so we have one row here, because if we looked at all the different things, it would be a little more confusing. Like if you had to look at all of this other, you don't need to look at all these rows right now. We're just focusing on looking at the basic progression for attacks for all the classes and their weapon critical specialization, weapon specialization, and grade weapon specialization. When you're looking on here, all of the E's and M's are expert and master. 10 is trained. So 10 is trained, then you have your expert and your master. Anywhere on here that you're looking right now, where it says 50, that's critical specialization, and they're a different color. And then anywhere on here you see 70, that's weapon specialization. And then scrolling over, the purple is greater weapon specialization. Now the thing is, this is 7th level expert. Well, let's look at 7th level. And these are all the marshals here at the top. These are all the marshals. And all of them get expert at level 5. Level 7 is when they get weapon specialization. But for this, they've got weapon expert at level 7. Well, if we just look a little bit down here, we also see weapon specialization 7th. So this would mean it would be getting expert at level 7 and weapon specialization at level 7. That's unheard of. There's just a couple of odd exceptions to weapon specialization. Normally, weapon specialization comes two levels or the next odd level after expert. And then greater weapon specialization comes 2 levels after master. Well, you see here, these are coming on at the same time. I think this is a mistake. I think this is supposed to be 5th level. Because getting both expert and weapon specialization at the same time doesn't happen anywhere else. The odd exceptions where weapon specialization follows a different pattern is that it just comes later. We have here the alchemist that gets expert at level 7, which is unusual. Most of the other marshals get expert at level 5, but then it gets weapon specialization at level 13, which is actually normally when casters get it. Which, by the way, kind of makes me lean more towards thinking that the alchemist is more of a caster than it is a marshal, because it shares this progression with casters, the weapon specialization at level 13. But the other exception is, well, here we see summoner. Summoner actually has the standard caster progression, so this is normal. And then magus, we see, has the normal progression for marshals. But then we have the war priest, and that's the other weird exception, where it gets expert at level 7, like the alchemist does, and then it gets weapon specialization at level 13, like the other casters and like alchemist. But they don't get them at the same. They don't get expert and weapon specialization at the same time. So this, getting these at the same time, doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure this should be 5th. But for now, I'm gonna leave it at level 7 because that's what it says, until maybe they come out and say, oh, this is obviously a mistake. It's supposed to be level 5. Now it could be that they do actually intend this on purpose. They can always change things up. It's their game. But based on every single other class for 22 classes or so, that's just not how it's normally done. But that's how we're going to put it in for now. So, expert unarmed is currently level 7. And I'm going to put a note in there. Level 5, are you sure about that? And then simple expert, level 7. There we go. You can see the values. We're slowly ticking up on the total here. So let's go here. Juggernaut, Fortitude Master at 7th. Fortitude Master at 7th. And then So weapon specialization is going to be at 7th, which is typical for a martial. And then, alright, next is alertness. Perception expert. That's level 9. Elemental expertise. Your class DC expert at level 9. And that is also normal martial progression so far. Elemental flexibility, level 9. You can gain 1 elemental impulse feat. Interesting. When you make your daily preparations, you gain 1 elemental impulse feat of 8th level or lower that you don't already have. You can use that feat until your next daily preparations. You must meet all the feats. So this is fighter flexibility, but it's elemental flexibility. So let's go down to the class features, and we're at level 9. So let's put that in. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Let's see, level 9 class ability, elemental flexibility. I can't type. There. So this is this is fighter's flexibility. So I already discussed that in the BCS 101 video, and how I came about that. So let's just go look at, yeah, it's even at the same level, level 9. So combat flexibility, and I gave that 90 points, and I explained how I did that in the BCS 101 video. But basically, quick refresh there is, first of all, it's level 9. That doesn't necessarily mean it's 90 points, but that's a good place to start. It gives you access to an 8th level feat. Well, it couldn't, even though normally an 8th level feat would be 70 points, here you're getting the added flexibility of being able to change it daily. So I feel it's appropriate that it's worth more than 70 points. And also because it couldn't be a level 7 feature because it's giving you a level 8 feat. So it has to be after level 8 before it can give you this feature. And so it's at level 9. And so 90 points seems to be an appropriate cost for that. Alright, evasion, we've got Reflex Master at level 11. So Reflex Master, level 11. That seems to be just looking at the progression so far compared to some of the other marshals. A lot of them get it at 7, so it's a little late, but let's see, we have Gunslinger here gets it at 11. So it's not completely unusual. Alright, next is Pure Adaptation. This is a class feature. Level 11. Pure Adaptation. You can use on a portion of element 60 feet. Following option to your adapt element. So this is a evolution of adapt element then. So that's something good to keep in mind, because sometimes that means, as we saw if you looked at the BCS 102 video, when a feat class features progress from one feature to another, like adapt element goes into pure adaptation, sometimes they're the same cost, because it's just giving you, sometimes it's just giving you the same thing again, you know, or sometimes it's just, here's the thing, but at the next improvement, and it's worth the same cost. I don't know yet. So Blast Mastery is Master Attacks. So let's go to Attacks, and then that is 13th level, and that is standard martial progression, which is additional indication that this level 7 instead of level 5 stands out because all of its other abilities are standard progression as far as attacks. I'll just skip real quick down here to Greater Weapon Specialization at 15th level. That is also standard. So again, everything in the attacks is standard except for that level 7 expert attacks. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. So the next was light armor expertise. So level 13 armor expert. And that seems to be pretty standard. Level 13 expert. That's pretty common. Greater Juggernaut is Master Fortitude? Legendary Fortitude, sorry. So Legendary Fortitude at 15. Who else gets Legendary Fortitude? Let's see. It was the Monk and the Barbarian. And the Monk got it at level 15, so seems to have similar progression to the Monk there. At least on that. Oh, no, that's right. The Monk has the option of level 15, sorry. We already put that in. Improved elemental flexibility. Okay, so this is again, it's the same thing as fighter's flexibility. So, and that is level 15, yeah. And same thing here with, look at the fighter, and improved flexibility, level 15. And I gave that 150 points. Same reasoning as above. Oh, actually, sorry. I should put it here for level 1 class ability. I'm not notating in all the Juggernaut and stuff here because it just takes time. And I'm not going to do it right now. So, improved. I can type, I swear. Alright, so look, next thing, elemental immunity, 17th level. Your elemental resistance becomes full immunity. Alright, so this is an advancement of elemental resistance. It's level 17. Make sure we're on the line here. Immunity. Element Master, and that's Master DC at 17, and that is again standard martial progression there. Light Armor Master. It gets to be Armor Master, nice. Let's see. So, Armor Master. Well, that is pretty standard, I guess, for martials, isn't it? Yeah, pretty standard. And that's level 19. A little late, though. Well, a lot of the other ones get at 19 too, so that's pretty typical, I guess. And then Final Gate. Its power constantly. You're permanently quickened. You can use the extra action only to gather an element. Okay, so this is one of these. This is level 19. Final Gate. Free action to gather element. So I don't know how much that's going to cost yet. It could be 190. It is a level 19 feat. It is a capstone feat. I do have currently on the Swashbuckler, I have Eternal Confidence is a 190 points. But it's not really, it's not one of the free action ones that turns an action into a free action. Thaumaturge has one, and I don't know what cost it is. If you watch that video, I'm uncertain about that one. I gave Master Strike on the Rogue 10 points in order to balance it. I don't feel great about it, but at the same time, it's like, yes, quickened on something is usually a level 20 feat, but that's more so to guard it to level 20. I don't know that's actually worth 190 points. Oh man, but look at this. How do we end up over budget already? Whoa, buddy, hold on. We're over budget already? That's I'm actually shocked right now. I'm surprised. I was not expecting this. Huh. Let's spending a lot on saving throws. Well, not really. I mean, it's pretty typical. 590. Others spend even more. Oh, gosh. I made a rookie mistake. Right. Okay, so when you have for attacks and defense, and for saving throws, or no, sorry, for attacks and defense, when you have multiple levels of attack, such as, you know, unarmed and simple and martial and advanced, you only pay once for master, once for expert. You pay each time for training, but you only play once for expert and once for master. So, and I usually stick it on the last one, on the highest one. I may change that at some point and just add up all the totals on unarmed, just to put them all in one row. That actually sounds like a good idea. I might do that later. But for right now, I leave this amount and that amount, but then I gotta get rid of this because they're paying too much here. So this should just be an M for master and an E for expert. Yeah, see, now we're coming down, giving us some room there. And then the same thing with defense. If you've got multiple levels of defense, you only pay master once, you only pay expert once. So this should be M, and this should be E. Alright, so here's our budget for class features. We've already got 2 of the main features plugged in, though. It still leaves us 300 points. So we got to figure out what these costs are. So let's go back up here to gather element. Gather element, your free hand, draw forth matter, choose one element. A mass of that element appears in your open hand. You can't use anything. You can use the release basic action to cause the element to dissipate. Using an action that has the overflow trait also causes the element to can only one element gather at a time. The element is in a pure form with, for example, gathered air ruffles your clothes and hair. Fire sheds light like a torch. Like the light cantrip? Does that cost anything? Water is fresh and drinkable. Oh, nice. I guess that comes in handy. You can gather an element, hold it, and use it even in environments where this normally wouldn't be possible. You can gather fire underwater. Okay, so it's not really an attack action or damage action. I'm going to give this 10 points because all you're doing, you are doing something for one action. And it can have some benefits, such as it's like a light, like the light cantrip. If we were to judge based on that, then I would say, well, the light cantrip is 5 points for a cantrip slot and 5 points for a cantrip learned. So the total would be 10 points. I'm pretty sure this is a 10-point action here. Let's see, Elemental Blast. That's the fun part here. That's your weapon, your attack. Let's see. Their basic weapon, I mean, obviously, well, not basic, but their like weapons with some added features, good added features. And it can do runes, and it does everything else. I think this might be 30 points. I'm basing that on a lot of the other actions and things, such as Quick Alchemy is 30 points, Precise Strike on the Swashbuckler is 30 points, Sneak Attack is 30 points. That one especially is a good example, I think. And if you, again, watched my BCS 101 and 102, you know I talked about using archetypes to help decipher some of these, the numbers on some basic actions. And things like Sneak Attack, when you are using the rogue archetype, you have to get that as a separate level 4 feat to get Sneak Attack. Surprise Attack comes with the dedication, but Sneak Attack is separate on its own. I'm also thinking about Spell Strike on the Magus. That's a level 4 feat. The Spell Strike, which is the Magus's main deal, doesn't come with the dedication. You've got to get a level 4 feat to get the Spell Strike, and that tells me that the Spell Strike is worth more than they could put in the dedication. That tells me Sneak Attack is worth more than they could give you in just the dedication. You need to pay more for that Sneak Attack. You need to pay, you know, a level 4 feat or 30 points when it's used in a class feature. So I feel like this is probably 30 points. All of the scaling it does is just natural scaling, so I don't feel it needs to be like a higher cost. That's something that I'm working on, a theory and understanding I'm trying to like work on and define, is that it seems like a lot of features or feats that get scaling, that in other words they scale up in damage or in power as you level up. I think typically that the cost for those is low, because they're not going to charge you for the level 20 damage if it's a level 1 feat, that when you get it at level 1 it's only doing level 1 damage, and so they're not going to charge you 190 points just because it can eventually get to level 20 and do level 20 damage, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I'm going to put 30 points on that. Adapt Element. What is this? Must be either unattended. Portion must be loose to be altered. You can move a small stone. You can telekinetically move things. If you have a gathered element, you can choose that portion. Choose one of the following options allowed for the element. Okay, so you can gather it. You can move it. You can regulate it. Okay, warm or cold. You can sculpt it into a small object. Alright. This doesn't seem like it's a high cost because you're not doing a ton with it. I'm going to give this 10 points for now. It could be 30. But one thing I do feel is I don't think that any of the initial class features are like even number points. I mean, what I mean is I don't think they're like 20 points or 40 points. I think they're all 10 or 30 or 50 points, or like that. So I don't quite know. I don't feel this is worth 30 points. It feels like a level 1 spell. And a level 1 spell would be at most 20 points. 10 points for the slot and 10 points to learn the spell. But I don't think 20s go. I think these are either 10 or 30. So I think I'm gonna just put 10 for now. But it does feel like there is a cost because it does give you something. I don't think this is I don't think it's free. Alright, so the next thing is elemental resistance. You're protected from that element. While you have an element gathered, you gain resistance equal to your level to damage from a source that has that trait. Alright, so here I'm thinking, I gotta start thinking, is there anything I can compare this to? Is there anything that I can think of that has resistance? Probably a feat is what I'm going to be looking for, and probably not a high level feat. If this is a level 3 feature, I doubt it's worth more than 30. Occasionally, something can be worth more than its level in the upper levels, but typically not. Typically, it's either worth its level times 10 or less. This is probably 30 points, but I'm going to see, is there anything I can compare it to in the other classes? Anything that gives resistance? I'm trying to think. No resistance there. Let's see. Alright, well let's go look in Nethys for some resistance feats. I'm already filtered to feats. Let's see. Resistance. Resistance. What is this? I don't know what every feat in the world is, so this is what I do, is I go and I look for things, and I go back and forth. Let's see, gains resistance to that type equal to half your level, equal to your level. I think I don't want something half level. I want something that says equal to your level. So let me go back up here. Let's change our query type to complex. Let's see if there's anything that has this exact wording. Resistance equal to your level. So let's put that in quotes and see if there's any feats that give resistance equal to your level. Ooh, high level feats. These are also actions. This is not an action, so I don't think it would compare to an action, generally speaking. You could look at it and see if it compares, but probably not. No, that's not it. Let's see. Jelly Body, feat 6. That's from Dark Archive? Okay. Let's see. Gain resistance equal to your level to precision damage and damage from critical hits. Interesting. This is rare. It's an aftermath feat. That's kind of comparable. I mean, it gives you some extra stuff, though. Yeah, it gives you some extra abilities and some item storage. This is just giving the resistance to damage. Tricky. Let's try moving the quote and see what that comes up with anything different. Okay, here we go. Some different stuff. Mental buffer. Let's see what this is. Let's see. You gain resistance to mental damage equal to half your level. So level 1 feat gets resistance to half your level in a lot of cases. Whew. And then we go, wow, we go straight up to, well, that actually might be the closest thing we have right now. Nope. Alright, well. This is mental buffer is what I'm looking at right now. Gain resistance to damage half your level. Interesting. I would have thought that I would find a feat that is similar to this. I don't think this is it. I feel like this is worth more. I'm gonna say this is 30 for right now. It's a level 3 class feature. It feels like more than a level 1 thing, so I'm gonna give it 30 points for now. Again, this is the playtest. I'm not gonna like sweat and try and like get it perfect. I'm just trying to get pretty close. So action, extract element. So we got an action, extract element, tug directly on to weaken it and take its power for your own. Target creature within 30 feet. The creature must attempt a fortitude save. Takes half damage. Okay, success, creature takes half damage, and you gather the element you chose. Okay, so fortitude save or take 2d4 damage as you steal the element. Alright, so this is a damaging action. It's level 3. Is when you get it. Let's see, it does scale. It is scaling. Level +3. Interesting that they give heightening effects to not spells. These are very much spell-like effects, though. Let's see. This seems like a spell. But what level spell, then? Is it like... If this is 3rd level, then you'd be getting access to level 2 spells. Of course, the level of the spell doesn't matter as far as value. All spells are worth 10 points. They're just level locked. The scaling makes me think this might only be 10 points because it has scaling features to it. I'm going to give that just a temporary 10 points. We'll come back to it. It seems like might be kind of low, though. It might be worth more than that. And I could go and look for things. Let me see if there's a feat real quick that does something like this. It's very specific, though. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure what even to search for. I guess nothing jumps out at me, so we'll just move on. Let's see, adapt terrain, which is level 7. There we go. Portion of element within 30 feet of you. This is the evolution of adapt element. Yeah, adapt element is an evolution of adapt terrain. Or adapt terrain is an evolution of adapt element. And if that's 10 points, then what does this do? Proliferate. Grows to fill that square. Might call that square. Difficult terrain. Hazardous terrain you create this way deals damage. Spread an element. After you proliferate, it reacts to the environment naturally. Water would splash right down. Alright, so you are creating some difficult terrain. Let's look for become difficult terrain or hazardous terrain. Just to see what we might get. Is there any feats that match that? Nope. Alright. I try to use the search for the exact wording they have because they often reuse the exact same wording, which is a smart thing to do because it keeps things consistent. Let's just try that then. Become difficult terrain. Okay. Let's see. Rock slide spell. Interesting. It's a feat. Causing chunks. It's next to cast number 5 square. I don't think that's what we're looking for. The entire area of difficult terrain must be contiguous. So that's a level 10 feat to give some difficult terrain. We're at level 7. This might be 70 points, which is a good starting point. That's not to say it is 70 points, but it's a good starting point. And then that's a reaction. Let's see. All adjacent spaces become difficult terrain. And this will take 5 bludgeoning damage. And this is damage equal to half your level. Let's search for equal to half your level damage there and see what that comes up with. Nothing. Wow. Damage equal to half your level. I was about to say, I was like, surely that's something. I'm pretty sure that is. Dual energy heart. Let's see. Necromantic resistance. Gain resistance. Resistance. Why is that listed twice? Oh, I guess for the different prerequisites or books. Interesting. Nothing but fluff. Death. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess 70 for right now. That's what I got. We'll come back to it. These are all guesses. Just keep that in mind. A lot of this right now is guessing. I don't have a archetype to compare it to right now. I don't have the multi-class archetype for it to compare it to, so it's a little more difficult because of that. And again, also I don't want to spend. Normally, if like when I was what I didn't show on the BCS 102 video. As far as decoding the psychic and thaumaturge, is that they were both pretty quick in that when decoding the final versions that released just a couple weeks ago, I only spent about an hour in each one, basically, but then I came back and I spent probably another 8 hours just trying to verify my numbers and check them, and even then, as that video showed, I wasn't happy with the final numbers on thaumaturge, which I will have to get back to and try and do something else with those numbers. So, pure adaptation is 11th level. And this is, again, part of the adapt element. Well, if we're following adapt terrain, and now we're on pure adaptation. If you saw the thaumaturge and the psychic, and if you look at some of the other classes, they'll often follow a pattern. Like here, the inventor. The inventor has breakthrough innovation, 70 points. That's because it's a level 8 archetype feat. Well, then the revolutionary innovation I gave to 70 points as well, because it's in the series of that, and I figure they're the similar cost, as well as the basic modification. Also gave 70 points, because that's actually the one that's sorry. The basic modification is the one that is the level 8 archetype feat, and I gave that 70 points. So then I gave the breakthrough 70 points, and I gave the revolutionary 70 points. I think these adapts are probably going to have a similar pattern. I gave this one 10, but it might be some higher number, and then this one and this one would follow that number. So for right now, I'm going to follow adapt terrain with 70, just to see what that gives us. And then, of course, we've already got the number for that. Elemental immunity. That one is interesting. So, full immunity, that's pretty unusual for players to get. Is that even on any feats at all? No. There's no feats that give you full immunity. Let me just look for immunity then. 12 things that give you immunity. Allows you Is there anything that gives you full immunity? Bloodline mutation. You permanently mutate, become like the creatures of your bloodline. If the creatures associated with your bloodline have a resistance or immunity, choose an energy type to your bloodline is immune or resistant to and gain resistance 20. So this one doesn't even give you immunity, it gives you 20. and that's a level 20 feat. Man, I gotta think immunity is a high cost. I'm thinking it's pretty high. So, man. So what level is this again? Level 17? I'm going to guess 170 points. It would be really odd for this to be 190 points, like a level 20 feat. But it's immunity, man. That's pretty huge. I don't know. Obviously, that's already putting us over budget. So maybe not. I'm thinking these are probably lower. I'm thinking these might be 30 or something like that. Final gate, the free action. Because I know we're already up on budget, and I don't think I can free up 190 points. I don't think this is 190 points. Just taking an action and making it a free action. Even though it's usually a level 20 feat for something like that, when it's in the class, I think it's 10 points when it's in the class. That's what I'm guessing for right now. So we need to bring this down. I guess this isn't 100 that much, but man, it's immunity. I mean, but it is following resistance already. So you've already got part of it, and then now you're just getting the full portion of it. I'm going to try 30 in these adaptables and see what kind of number that gives me to work with. Alright, so now we're 50 points over. Before we go any further, let me just double check up here. So we got 8 HP, we got a class 1, level 1 feat. That's good. That's good. Saves look good. Skills, we got 4 skills total. Let's see. Attacks, we got critical specialization, weapon specialization, greater weapon specialization. Attacks, we got training, and then we got expert and master. Defense, we got training, and then we got expert, master. Alright, so I think all those are good. I need to lose 50 points. I'm guessing it's this, because I feel confident on these because they're exactly like the fighters, and the fighters numbers I'm quite confident in. So this has got to come down. If it were to be, see, I'm going to get a weird number here. So let's just say it's 110. Now I'd have to make up 10 points. And I don't know where I would do that. This one's a tough one. The Thaumaturge playtest I thought was super easy. Like, I got through that thing in like a minute. The psychic playtest I had a little more trouble with because the amps seemed underpowered, and so I had trouble giving them a value because the value seemed too high no matter what I did, because the amps seemed weak for what I thought the value they were giving was. Here, there's so many strong abilities. I don't know how, I don't know how to get it down. I mean, obviously I've got it down, but now I've got to find 10 points to stick back in somewhere. And I don't even know where that would go. There's no way I can add 10 points to this or something, because that would make it a 20, and that's just, we don't do that. As far as I can tell, I don't think that's a thing. And as far as my understanding of the class design. So I'm actually going to leave it right here for now. because that's what I got. It's possible this is a free action, and that just like the thaumaturge, I had trouble coming up with a value for his. You get the these as a free action, so I could give this a 0 and then bump something else up 20 points, like make this 130. But at that point, I'm just playing around, and I don't really know what I'm doing. As far as, like, I don't know what it should be. I might spend some time looking at some more feats and see if I can find some better comparisons. But I think I'm going to leave it there for right now. You know, we're not balanced, but we're close. And I feel like we've got something in the ballpark, something we can work with. And it's a playtest, so we're not going to get it perfect anyway. Doing the playtest is mostly just an exercise to see, you know, if we can get an idea of what it looks like ahead of time. We're not trying to get the final version here at all. So, thanks for watching. I know it ran kind of long, but I wanted to do this live and unscripted, and, you know, showing you how I do it as I'm doing it. My thought process a little bit, and I just couldn't do that if I did it scripted, because then it this video would have lost the spontaneousness of me just trying to figure it out, and you seeing what that looks like when I'm trying to figure something out fresh. So I hope you enjoyed it a little bit. I appreciate you watching. If you made it all the way here, I hope it wasn't too boring, but if you have any questions at all, feel free to hit me up in the OGL BCS subreddit or in private messages anywhere, anywhere you know me. So until next time, yeah, have a good day.